The Shemiran Bus. The Line 70 bus leaves the station before we can catch it. My little daughter runs a few steps after it, but short of the bend she stops, disappointed. We wait for the next bus. A sudden snowfall has started and a translucent haze swirls. Silence has replaced the city's daily bustle, everywhere is white and calm. This is the first time such a heavy snowfall has fallen in our 8 years in Paris. Grandma's voice rings deep in my ears. The angels are house cleaning, they are dusting the clouds and sweeping the carpet of heavens. I think of Tehran's sunny winters, of the towering Elborz mountains under a bright clear sky and the hubbub of snow sweepers on the rooftops, and of the poplars at the end of the garden as white as lank older women. When I was a child, it was as though the snow would never stop once it started falling. Saturday, Sunday and Monday, I counted the days. 10 centimeters, 20 centimeters, and half a meter of snow landed on the ground, and the school was closed for a week. What bliss it was! What unbelievable happiness! A whole week of staying in bed in the mornings, an entire week of playing in the alleys with 1,001 male and female cousins, a whole week without the fear of seeing Mrs. Superintendent or running into the bad-tempered maths teacher or reciting the Sharia book or writing homework. One whole week without memorizing a long meaningless poem, or practicing calligraphy with a cane pen and black ink, released from the claws of the school and the lessons, 7 days of freedom and playing. How much fun was it when we had guests at home? The snow blocked the roads and all those in our house had to stay for 2 or 3 nights. Permanent guests of our house were my thin, kind grandmother who used to pray day and night and beg of God for our happiness and health and longevity. Bibi Jan, my mother's old aunt whose ears could not hear anymore and who was mentally disordered. She would take me for my brother and brother for one of the cousins, the cousin for a neighbor, and the neighbor for me. My lovely Auntie Azar played leapfrog in the corridors with her naughty kids, who ran up the doors, walls and trees worse than wild monkeys or slid down on the stairway's handrail. Uncle Ahmed Khan was the kindest dentist in the world and could not force himself to extract anyone's tooth. His eyes were filled with tears whenever one of us cried. The older uncle, an artillery officer, was scared of horses, guns and rifles. From the beginning he had removed his military uniform, replaced it with a women's apron and stayed home. He made tasty jams and knitted colorful woolen jumpers. And finally the fat, lazy Tuba Khanum, who knew bizarre stories and had dealings with jinns and ghosts, knew witchcraft and performed juggling tricks for us. All these people stayed in our house until the snow melted away. I just loved the crowded rooms, spread quilts next to each other on the carpet, and tables heaped with all kinds of foodstuffs, sherbet decanters, bowls full of pomegranate seeds, plates of saffron pudding and pistachios, sowen and Isfahan jazz, and the delicious baklava that mother cooked. What a joy it was when thousands of dizzying smells rose from the recesses of the house and swirled in the corridors. The smell of grandmother's hookah's tobacco, the lovely vapor of Bibi Jan's herbal potions, and the scent of saffron on hot rice, together with the smell of cinnamon, cumin, fried onions and half-burnt kebabs on red-hot charcoal. I loved to go to sleep with the murmur of older people, and their furtive giggles coming from the adjacent rooms. I would listen to the mellow sound of the younger uncle's tar and Auntie Azar's sweet singing and the tap-tap of my mother's slippers on the stairs and then fall asleep. In the middle of the night, I would wake up again. Seeing that the older ones were still awake, and there was a lot of coming and going in the kitchen and the clatter of the pans, I would go to sleep again, and my sleep was softer than the flight of a playful kite. Today I'm again excited and happy at the sight of snow, just like when I was a kid. My daughter is also excited. She is spinning, dancing, making snowballs with her little hands and throwing them around. She frequently runs to the middle of the street, restlessly awaiting the Line 70 bus. Her restlessness reminds me of the beating of my little heart when I worriedly stared at the end of the street every day at sundown and after school, counting the minutes as I waited for my friend, Aziz Arka. I turn my face upwards. I open my mouth so that the snowflakes land on my tongue. What an excellent taste and delicious smell they have, like 1,000 jasmine petals falling from the gardens of the heavens. I feel as if my feet have left the ground and I'm floating in the air, as though I am in a glass bubble, and a secret breath takes me back in time. I take a look, I'm 10 years old. I'm waiting for the Shemiran bus at the junction near the school. Our new house is at the other end of the world. We live beyond the hills and in the middle of arid lands. There is no other house around. A jackal's howl is heard some nights and my mother is scared. Hassan Arka, the cook, is also frightened and spreads his bedroll in the corridor behind my father's bedroom door. I like the house in the middle of nowhere, and I'm not scared of its extensive water reservoir, its swimming pool full of frogs, and the dark shadows of its trees resembling wicked men at the far end of the garden, and behind the box trees I have made a small hut for myself with old sheets. No one can find me. I put my snacks under the bricks and bury them under the earth, fearing my mother, those homework sheets bearing a 0 mark. The poplars are my playmates. Each of them has a name, and the taller ones are boys. Once back from school, I throw my bag aside and run to them. I tell them about all that I've done. I showed them my drawings and read them aloud from my Persian textbook. Some of them are just asses and keep yawning. Some are wicked and don't listen to me. I kiss the ones that are my friends and stick my chewed-up chewing gum on their leaves. I beat those who talk behind my back and tie their branches with a rope. It's more than an hour by bus to Firuzkuhi school. My brother is older and is allowed to go to school alone. But I must put my hand in Hassan Arka's hand, and not take a single step without his permission. That's my mother's order. But I do as I wish, and I'll give him hell if he utters a word to my mother, because I know that the key to the upstairs storage room that's been lost is indeed in the lining of his jacket. I know that when my mother's not home, he steals handfuls of lentils, rice and beans from the sacks, puts them in a box behind the lavatory at the end of the garden, and takes them with him when he leaves. That's why we don't bother each other and are equal in strength. Hassan Arka comes after me when school ends at 4 in the afternoon, and we wait at the junction for the Shemiran bus. Today it's snowing, the snowflakes are as big as saucers. Everywhere has turned entirely white, and Hassan Arka stands by the wall like a blurred ghost. His face is like a transparent piece of cloud, one of those clouds I see in the sky at night, and I know that they are the people of thousands of years ago. Some of them have crowns and beards and pass quickly on horseback. In the moon, if you look hard enough, a little kid is sitting with his legs folded onto his chest, his head on his knee, and he's crying, but my dumb brother can't see it no matter how hard I try to show it to him. Mother fears the full moon and tells me not to stare at the stars. Sometimes, a giant dragon emerges from the sky's violet depths and sinks into the Milky Way. Hassan Arka screams when I tell him this. He hides his head under the quilt and prays loudly. There's no sign of the Shemiran bus. I feel happy and slide on the snow in the middle of the street. I kick at the trees so that a snow flurry falls on my head. Hassan Arka is holding my bag and lunchbox under his arm and is shivering. A lifeless vapor comes out of his mouth. He's wearing his father's old shoes. They're a few sizes too big for him. The shoe is gaping behind his heel and the snow falls precisely into the gap. His hands are also small and he's wearing his mother's gloves, ill-matched gloves, one ruby leather and the other black lace. Every New Year's Eve, father orders everyone new jackets, shirts, shoes, socks and underwear. Hassan Arka doesn't wear his new clothes. He puts them in a suitcase to take them to the village when he goes there in summer. Or he sells them and hides the money in the chimney in his room. I'm the only one who knows where his money is, but I don't touch it. I swear that I don't. The sound of a bus engine is coming from far off. Hassan Arka jumps with a start. Happily and anxiously, I look at this white box that approaches wobbling. I tell myself I'll get on if it flashes its headlights, otherwise I'll wait for the next bus. Even if Hassan Arka freezes from the cold, my mother gets anxious, and I die of hunger and fatigue. This is a secret no one knows about, no one. It's a secret between Aziz Arka and me. Even Hassan Arka doesn't know about it, and he doesn't understand why I sometimes don't get on the Shemiran bus. A bus that doesn't flash its headlights is not Aziz Arka's, and runs away and ignores his shouts and objections. Several times he threatened to tell his mother, and I alluded to the key to the upstairs storage room lining his jacket. That's why he doesn't bother me anymore and doesn't nag me anymore. The bus that flashes its headlights 3 times from far off is Aziz Arka's. Every night before going to bed, instead of the prayer that mother has taught me, I repeat 3 times, I won't get on any bus but Aziz Arka's. We've made this pact without saying it, of course, until doomsday. Because I don't speak to my big friend, who is even taller than my father and whose fearful face even the police officers are scared of. I don't dare talk to him. The bus's headlights approaching from the distance turn on and off, and my heart's spinning like a top. I get on. Hassan Arka goes before me. Aziz Arka looks at me and answers my hello with his swollen red eyes. His hair is greasy and fried. Hassan Arka says he's had a 6-month curl. His eyebrows are black, and a thick moustache covers his mouth entirely. I sit on the seat behind him. Hassan Arka goes to the rear of the bus, where it's warmer, and is fast asleep almost as he sits down. There are no more than a handful of passengers, most of whom are dozing. It's quite a journey from school to home, especially in winter when there's snow. Cars without chains slip into the street, and the road is blocked. Some days Aziz Arka is tired, he yawns widely, and the smell of his mouth is more acrid than the smell of the tincture of iodine that mother puts on the wounds on my knee. My head is reeling and my bowels are growling. He looks at me in the mirror, making faces at me. He blows his cheeks. He tilts his nose and crosses his eyes. I put my hands on my mouth so the passengers won't hear my laughter. I'm secretly dying with laughter. My friend looks like a ghoul and little kids fear him. He's got tattoos on his arms and the top of his chest. A thick violet line between his ear and the other side of his neck. It's as though someone had tried to behead him. Mother never rides a bus. She's got her chauffeur and car, but she knows that there are ghouls like Aziz Arka in the world, and she's worried about me. She doesn't like me to go to school by bus, but that's her father's order, and nothing can be done about it. At the bus's rear end, Hassan Arka is fast asleep, squatting on the seat. A cold draft enters through the broken window, and the passengers are freezing. Aziz Arka takes out his jacket and puts it on my legs. It reeks with a stinking smell. I want the passengers to look at me, and I proudly hand over its greasy collar. My fingers get a strange smell that can't be found in our house or the homes of aunties and uncles. It's neither the smell of dogs or cats or cows or sheep. It's a smell from the holes of an unknown world, the smell of all the evil deeds that oughtn't to be done and things that oughtn't to be known for a long time. Mother's smell is different from all other smells. It smells of foreign-made perfume and powder, movie actors and fashion magazines, Lalazar Street, and the City Hall Cafe dance hall. Mother smells of the days to come, the smell of tomorrow and all the good things awaiting me. With this jacket on my legs, I become a different person, someone who doesn't have to be clean and polite and a hard worker and a top student, tie a fluffy bow to her hair and say hello and pay respects to everyone, and recite for strangers at parties a poem she has learnt at school and which she can't correctly read by heart, to play for blabbing bored relatives her first piano lesson, which is nothing but a repetition of flat E, F, G, A, B, C, and to take part in the prettiest child contest and lose in it. With Aziz Arka's jacket on my legs, I become like him. I imagine my entire body is tattooed, and half of my teeth are gold. I see myself wandering in the alleys all alone, giggling and grumbling like the daughters of Zara, the washerwoman. I'm riding a bike, sitting behind the most handsome boy in the neighborhood, going with him to see Tarzan. When we reach Absha station, Aziz Arka stops the bus. Most passengers get out to drink tea in the tea house by the road. Hassan Arka and I don't move. Before getting out, Aziz Arka takes a small packet out of the bus's glove compartment and puts it in my lap. He looks at me in the mirror and winks. All his face is full of kindness, full of soft lines like a cloth doll. My friend is the best ghoul in the world. From his hands and legs, the strange smell of his mouth, red eyes and old greasy jacket, something like a transparent vapor enshrouds me. In this magical vapor I melt like a piece of snow, and I feel so happy that I'd love to stay here and like this for thousands and thousands of years like a stone statue without growing up, without changing. Today Aziz Arka bought me dried black cherries. Hassan Arka calls me from the bus's rear and asks what to do. I don't answer him. I hurriedly count my black cherries. The passengers are standing sipping tea. Aziz Arka swallows a few gulps of vodka from a bottle, then he goes behind the trees to urinate. I don't look. I look down and rapidly chew my black cherries. But I can see him in my head and my ears get hot. We start again, going up to Van Eyck Square as slowly as an ant. At times the bus slides back. Other cars slip and stop right in the middle of the road in front of us. It's dark now and the whole world is white. Hassan Arka is scared and is calling me from behind the bus. I know that his teardrops will start rolling down in a few minutes. He's always ready to weep, and 2 or 3 times a day with no good reason his tears start streaming. Mother believes that Hassan Arka's sorrows are like the cackle and cluck of hens, and have no particular reason. Father says that Hassan Arka is a complete ass, and Hassan Arka laughs because he loves to be an ass. Happily he removes the plates and looks at father's mouth, which is contentedly chewing pieces of kebab, and is satisfied with his cooking. The window's glass beside me is broken, and a cold wind hits one side of my face. My neck is stiff, and my back is frozen and cold. Aziz Arka is worriedly watching me in the mirror. He stops the bus, shoves a piece of newspaper and some old cloth into the hole and sits behind the wheel again. I know his silent language. He is anxious for me and he would instead change my seat. It is as if he is telling me with his eyes, "Stand up, you spoilt little girl. You'll catch a cold. Go to the rear of the bus. It's warmer there. I'm worried that you may fall sick." And I answer him with my eyes, "No. I won't move from here. This is my exclusive seat and I won't let go of it." I love Aziz Arka's anxiety. His motherly kindness shows the depth of his affection. I close my eyes and take an imaginary journey to the remote ages and the times of great kings, when loyal warriors, to prove their honesty and devotion to the king, would walk barefoot on red-hot charcoal and fight the 7-headed dragon. The bus isn't moving anymore. The cold has replaced everything. The right half of my body is numb. I've got pins and needles in the tips of my toes and I can't feel my feet. My head is as heavy as a mountain, as if blown up. It's expanding and contracting. I'm frozen and can see shadows spinning in the snow through my half-closed eyelids. My nose is running and my eyes are burning. Suddenly, I'm on fire. I feel hot and shiver and my teeth rattle from the cold. My tears fall rapidly. I can't do anything about it. Aziz Arka dabs my cheeks with his rough fingers and laughs with his mouth shut. The students who know him say that all his teeth are gold. I don't believe them. I ask Mother. She doesn't know Aziz Arka at all. But she doesn't like my question, and angrily threatens to skin me alive if I look at bus drivers or speak to them. In Mother's view, it's the bad guys and the roughnecks who have gold teeth. They're all thieves and murderers and do 1,000 nasty things to little girls. I can't believe it though, and I feel pity when I see that Mother sometimes becomes mean and tells lies and says that Auntie Azar is fat and ugly, and I am sad for Mother doesn't know many things. For example, she doesn't know most of the capital cities of the countries or the simple rules of arithmetic. Nevertheless, in my view, she is the best and the most beautiful mother in the world, and at night before sleeping I pretend to have a stomach ache so that she would sit by my bed, and I'd like to confess what evil thoughts I have about her in my head. But the mother is always after something. She is in a hurry and doesn't listen to me, and she will punish me hard if she finds out that I've furtively listened to the talks between her father and her. Aziz Arka is agitated by the snow and the cold. No matter how he tries, the bus won't move even a few meters. It's like we've lost our way in a white desert. I can hear Hassan Arka's voice from the distance. He's groaning and loudly hiccuping with fear. I have a strange feeling too. The black cherries have filled my stomach and I want to vomit. I'm hugging Aziz Arka's jacket with both hands and my head is reeling. I want to stand up but my legs have no strength. I open my mouth but I can't make a sound. Everywhere is covered in snow, the entire city, all the world, and I've frozen under this frozen arch. It's years that I've remained frozen like this. Only my eyes are burning like a furnace of fire, my tears falling incessantly, and my parched and bitter mouth is searching for water. Water, water, water. An excellent scented hand that smells of powder and cream caresses my forehead. Someone saying prayers into my ear and blowing at my face. Familiar faces are standing around my bed, and the large sweet eyes of Auntie Azar are shining under the lamplight. I can smell Bibi Jan's potion. I know the softness of my clean blanket and sheets and that I'm in bed with my mother beside me. A peaceful feeling fills my heart. I fall asleep and I dream that I'm riding on Aziz Arka's shoulders and he is flying above the clouds like a flying carpet, taking me to watch faraway unknown cities. How I wish he opened his mouth and I could see his gold teeth. But what a pity. His lips are closed tight like the lid of a box full of jewels. I'm seriously ill. Dr. Kawsari comes to examine me every Thursday. My lungs make a rustling sound and my fever rises at night. He changes his prescription every time he comes and I keep getting worse. I've become lean, yellow and deathlike and my hair is falling. They bring me another doctor who coughs more than I do, and no chemist has his prescriptions. Days and weeks pass like the wind. I've forgotten about school and the lessons. Grandmother sits by the bed and recites prayers and incantations below her breath. If I'm awake, she tells me stories and puts food in my mouth spoonful by spoonful. Every day I look through the window at the persimmon tree, whose branches are bare and naked, and I count the days until spring comes. Every day at 4 o'clock sharp I see the Shemiran Bus passing by the junction near the school, and Aziz Arka, gloomy and lonely, looks at my empty place and drives by. Or perhaps he's forgotten me and gives another girl the snack he kept in the glove compartment of his car for me. My heart burns with jealousy and my coughs become faster. Apprehensively, my mother calls Dr. Kawsari, and I hear my father's voice ordering me prepared to be taken abroad. I will flunk this school year, I'm crying, and Auntie Azar says nothing's more important than my health. I wish summer would come sooner and the cherry tree would have leaves and fruits. In summer our house gets more crowded than at any other time. Our family is a big clan. I have tens of aunts, uncles and dozens of cousins. Father is the head of the clan and everyone obeys him. On Fridays this clan has lunch in our house and mother keeps most guests overnight. We all sleep together in the garden on the terrace. The kids sleep in a row next to one another, and the elder ones sleep under the poplars, on wooden beds and under mosquito nets. Father sleeps alone in the arbor, on two sides of which there's a running stream whose swishing is heard till morning. Grandma sleeps with the kids and takes care of us. She puts a big glass of iced water above our pillows and a handful of jasmine petals under the pillows. She counts the kids and calls them by name one by one to make sure we're all there. I love the living silence of the night. I hear the ripe fruit's heartbeat and the fresh bud's light breathing. Before going to sleep I count the stars and look at the clouds, which look like men. One of them seems like Aziz Arka. He looks at me from far above and makes faces at me. My cousins murmur and Grandma hits their feet with a long twig from where she lies. The younger uncle snores and makes the dogs in the ruins bark. Tuba Khanum scratches herself with a screeching sound till morning. One of the kids keeps letting out a foul smell, and Grandma rises angrily to find out who the perpetrator is. Everyone pretends to be fast asleep, no one dares to breathe. Sleep fills the eyes, accompanied by the buzzing of mosquitoes and twinkling stars. Some nights it starts raining and Grandma covers us with a large long plastic sheet she always keeps handy. Under the thick cover, my cousin and I stick together like ants and listen to the clatter of the rain above us. I've been imprisoned in the room since I fell ill and everything scares me. Fear is everywhere, like an invisible man. Sometimes it opens the door and it comes for me when everybody's drowsing in the afternoons. Sometimes it's behind the window pane or hides under the mother's skirt. This morning it was in the mirror, and it looked as if it was mocking me. It's fear that makes me cough. Mother doesn't trust Dr. Kawsari anymore and throws away his medication. Uncle Doctor sleeps in our house at night. He's agreed with my mother to take turns in giving me injections. Father says foreign doctors are geniuses and cure the most complex diseases with the first prescription. Auntie Azar looks at me sadly and kisses my head and face like she won't ever see me again. Hassan Arka has an old postcard showing a fat woman with blonde hair and a velvet and lace dress. He says that this woman is the Queen of Paris, and that she doesn't believe in the Quran. Hassan Arka is worried about Mother and me and pleads to Grandma to pray day and night to save us from this infidel queen. Mother is happily preparing suitcases for the trip. Fear is in Paris and will follow us wherever we go. Grandma constantly prays and blows at my face. Tuba Khanum makes me drink a glass of boiled liver juice every evening. They have tied thousands of prayers around my neck and ankles, and the space under my pillow is full of small folded pieces of paper. Every afternoon at 4 I still think of the schools closing and the bus coming from far off. Before reaching me, it disappears in a white haze like a half-forgotten dream. I still repeat in my heart before sleeping, I'll never get on any bus except Aziz Arka's. We've made this pact and I'll be loyal to it till doomsday. I swear that I will. I close my eyes while swearing. I hold my breath and my heart beats like a drum. I'm sure Aziz Arka hears my heart's thump-thump and will answer me. We'll depart in 3 days. Grandma is sitting by the window passing a thread through jasmines, making necklaces and bracelets for me. Even Tuba Khanum, who always used to rock her buttocks and snap her fingers, isn't like before. Her eyes are full of tears and she wipes her nose with the corner of her sleeve. There's a knock on the door. I tell myself it must be a new doctor or one of the aunts. Thousands of people visit us, and the door is knocked upon hundreds of times daily. Hassan Arka comes into the room and stands by the door. He's bewildered and looks at his mother in confusion. He wants to say something but doesn't dare. As usual, he's hiccuping with fear. He points at someone or something outside the room but no sound comes out of his mouth. Mother is desperate and restless. She stands up and follows Hassan Arka into the corridor. I can hear her voice, "Who?" I can't hear Hassan Arka's answer. Only the mother's voice rises higher and higher, worrying everyone like a danger siren. Grandma stands up and closes the window. She draws the blanket up to my chin. Again I hear my mother's voice, "Bus driver." My heart's jumping out. I half rise and sit up in bed. Hassan Arka's answer is like the baaing of a sheep about to be slaughtered. Mother's shout swells in my head, "Who? What? Which bus?" Nice Hassan Arka is by now half dead and stammering. I can hear the mother's uproar. She wants to know how a ruffian driver has dared come to ask how her daughter is. She sends Hassan Arka off to tell him that if he is seen around here again, she will have his leg bones shattered. I push away the blanket. I jump out of bed and run towards the corridor barefoot and in a thin dressing gown. Tuba Khanum tries to stop me. I make her aside and bite her hand. Astonished at my strange behavior, my mother orders me to return immediately. Despite all the threats, I run to my father's study at the end of the corridor. I get in and lock the door. The window looks onto the alley. I push the curtain aside. I climb a chair and see Aziz Arka standing confused in the middle of the alley like a meek, embarrassed kid. He has a small packet in his hand. He's combed his messy hair and buttoned his shirt to his neck. He doesn't want his tattoo to show. I open the window. I call him. He looks around and starts walking away. I call to him louder and wave my hand at him. He turns around. He lifts his head and his glance falls on me. The same old kindness fills his face again. My tears are falling quickly and my words are unintelligible, even to myself. From where he's standing, Aziz Arka greets me with a nod. God knows how happy he is. He comes forward. He comes towards me. He smiles, and with this smile something strange happens. His lips part, his mouth is like a dark cave at the end of which a gold tooth like Aladdin's lamp shines. I know that this magic lamp will give me whatever I ask for. I close my eyes and wish I will become well again, my coughing will stop, and fear will let go of me. Once in Paris we got a room at the Hotel Vagrom. 3 days later a French doctor visited me and gave me a long prescription. I've been feeling better for a long time and cough less frequently. No one knows about my secret and the magic of the golden lamp. Mother thinks my rapid recovery is because of the genius of the French doctor, but I know what and who has cured me. Every night in the dark and under the sheet, I run my hand against the imaginary Aladdin's lamp, and repeatedly pray. Our stay in Paris lasted more than 6 months. Once back in Tehran they changed my school. My new school is no more than a few steps from home. I go there and return on foot, but my heart sinks whenever I cross the street and my eyes look for the Shemiran Bus. The years pass by rapidly and I become a respectable young lady. Old buses are put out of service and replaced by shuttle cars driven by young drivers. But despite the passage of time, I've remained loyal to my great friend and my old pact. Whenever I feel sad, my heart feels heavy with sorrow, or I have a problem, suddenly from beneath childhood memories appears my friend's magical mouth, and the glitter of that gold tooth shines like Venus in the darkness of my night. The line 70 bus appears around the corner, proceeding slowly. A childish voice says deep in my ear, "I'll never get on any bus except Aziz Arka's." My daughter is walking ahead of me. She waves her hand to the bus driver. Her eyes are full of playful, mysterious thoughts. Perhaps she also has a secret she won't tell me, just as I didn't tell anyone, neither my mother, Hassan Arka, nor even the poplars at the far end of the garden.